My question for Congressman Smith has to do with the natural disasters that we've had recently in the last few months. And I want to find out from Congressman Smith, if he's going to ensure that FEMA is not disbanded and that we have more immediate attention when these things happen. Because it seems like later and later and later that FEMA comes and starts helping out. I know there are processes and procedures that go into that, but what I saw, especially during our tornado, was less government involvement and more citizens helping citizens, which is a wonderful and beautiful thing. So let's give our
Representative Smith, I have a number of questions for you all the years. First of those is, as a member of Congress, you have to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. So you have to take every year during the term. Second one is, since you're supposed to uphold the Constitution of the United States, have you read it? And if you have, are you familiar with that part called Bill of Rights?
That's right.
Just in your own words, can you tell us what the Fifth Amendment covers? Can you tell us what the 14th Amendment covers? Just in case you refresh your recollection. Both the 5th and 14th Amendment provide that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Yep.
Now, it says no person. Are you aware there's a difference between the term person and citizen? You know that some citizens, the citizens have some rights that other people may not. But the right to life, liberty, and property be protected from those without due process applies to every person, regardless of their sex, their race, their nationality, whether they're immigrant or a citizen. Every single person is entitled to those rights under the Constitution of the United States of America. The same Constitution you have sworn to uphold.
That's right.
The same section of the Constitution which, through any reasonable interpretation of due process, would prohibit taking people from the United States, whether a citizen or not, and shipping them to El Salvador without due process of law.
Right.
No hearing, no lawyer,
That's right.
no right to seek counsel. Every criminal is entitled to those. Every person is entitled to those. You're not giving those rights. Same rights where people have been picked up in the United States, all over the country, even some of them who have been citizens and granted by ICE for questioning and holding without giving any notice of what they've been holding, without allowing for counsel, without allowing for prompt hearing in front of a judge, which is required under due process. You have not made sure that is done. You, as a sworn member of the House of Representatives, have sworn to protect those rights.
That's right.
Whether it be in Los Angeles, whether it be on a college campus, whether it be in Poplar Bluff.
That's right.
You've made those promises under oath. Please keep them.
Thank you for that. That was just fantastic. Next up on our list, we got Deborah in, and then it is going to be, boy, I'm going to mispronounce this. The handwriting got a little messy. I think it's Tammy Baker. Tammy Baker, okay. You're up next down.
Hello, my name is Edward. I am a trans woman. I have been unable to transition into the body of which I wish to live in. I've been denied Medicaid when I have met all the qualifications for it. Even if I didn't qualify for Medicaid, Medicaid from this state does not cover your purchase, so I will be able to transition. I am a trans woman, and many other trans women living in Missouri do not know when I will be able to transition. I don't know how many years I'm going to have to wait to live in the body that I serve to live in. Furthermore, the man sitting in the Oval Office, who you have endorsed, who you have supported, publicly disrespects all trans women and men in America.
That's right.
Mr. Smith, you sit in the House of Representatives. I don't know what that means to you, but I know what it means to me. When you sit in that House of Representatives, you sit there to represent the people. And I can assure you, no one in this room feels represented.
That's right.
And that right there is exactly what we're saying.
Amen.
Next up, we have Tammy Baker, and then it's going to be Chuck Davis.
knowledge of some vital issues, which will help them to make better decisions and cast their legislative votes in the best interest of all of us, their constituents. So there are so many issues that I'm passionate about today and I can speak on, but I chose to limit my time to one issue and one discussion that has personally affected me as a daughter, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, and a Christian. I'm going to discuss what cannot Imagine a loved one who is an elderly cancer victim or a pediatric cancer victim who could survive with a life-saving drug but cannot afford the $18,000 a month for it. These are not imaginary stories. These are real life and death experiences that we will agonize and breathe through in Medicaid stuff. Without sustained medical coverage through Medicaid and access to health care and hospitals, it should be no surprise that Missourians depend on Missouri Health Net, Medicaid, for our neighbors, our family members, our friends, or even one of us one day will ultimately suffer and die because of this legislation. The Declaration of Independence states that as Americans, we have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which are unalienable rights that cannot be taken away. Cutting Medicaid directly affects access to health care. And for those who are sick or critically ill, this vastly impacts their life, often resulting in immediate or premature death. Our representatives must work on our behalf to ensure the health and safety of vulnerable mothers, children, elderly, and the disabled. Not the opposite, by cutting our health safety net to Medicaid. These are just primary expectations to our right to life. Our state representatives have a moral and an ethical duty to act in the best interest of all the people that they serve. They must remember this as they pass their votes in Congress on this bill and on future legislation. Ultimately, they will be held accountable by us as their constituents. Thank you.
Now, if, like me, listening to that Spartan story again, go to that table there where you're still having folks sign up, and if you have a story or a question or an anecdote that you feel like you need to share with the congressman. And Chuck, I'm going to cut mine in front of you real fast just to share my quick anecdote here on healthcare. My junior year of college, my mom's liver failed, and she refused to go to the hospital. Just absolutely refused. And her number one thought in why she could not go to the hospital, why that was not the right thing for them to do, was concerned about losing the family farm. It was in the custody of my grandparents before us, great-grandparents before that, and then they got it off the colonel. So I don't know whose family that was. But for 4 generations now, this farm has been in our family, and someday it's going to end up being passed down to my older brother. And that means a whole lot to our folks. And the fact that because of how outrageous healthcare costs are, my mom almost died refusing to go to the hospital. My dad had to physically pick her up against her will to get her into the van to drive her to the hospital that day. And if he didn't do that, my mom wouldn't be with us anymore. And if it wasn't for the ACA and her having coverage through that, I don't think even then my dad would have been able to convince her that going to the hospital and getting treated was the thing that she needed to do. And so when we are talking about cutting off service for folks, that's my mom. I don't know about y'all, but I love my mom. And I'm sure a lot of y'all love your moms. And if you have a spark that's lit up in you like that, go ahead and sign up back there.
Ways and Means Committee.
That's right.
You got some marching orders, didn't you, Mr. Smith? You organized busloads of insurgents to come from the 8th Congressional District to stop the steal overthrow of the government on January 6th, and you met them there. And then you hid while they attacked the Capitol.
That's right.
As chair, why, Mr. Smith, why did you sell us out? Instead, as chair of the Ways and Means Committee, the most powerful committee in Congress, with the purse strings of all the government, instead of funding Medicare and Medicaid to the point that you could open up the 6 hospitals that closed under your administration.
That's right.
You voted to cut health care for 300,000 Missouri people, Medicaid. You're kicking them off. They will die. Many will die. Why, Mr. Smith? Why are you going along with cutting the Department of Education? Why are you voting to take food from the mouths of babes and give tax breaks to millionaires? Why?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, y'all came alive with that one. Next up, we have Jeremy Dog, and this is going to be Veronica Thompson-Brother.
Oh, hello everyone. Nice to see everyone made it out tonight, today. In a county, in a district that, honestly, a lot of times, when you run across someone that's like-minded, it's like seeing someone naked inadvertently. I say that in jest, but often you find out you have a common ground with somebody and you're like, you're like me? But the minus is, it's pretty aggressive here when all levels of power is governed by one party, Mr. Smith's party. You realize that you can operate in secret. You know, we get biblical. You know, hey, guess what? You know, we can evangelize to our neighbors, but we're going to have to do it in secret because there's a lot of people think that we're the other, the frightening other. But when I look at the preamble of the United States Constitution, which obviously we probably read in civics class and took an exam for, and maybe you passed, who knows? Maybe someone did it for. We the people of the United States. That's not Rick Sinfeld. That's not Amazon. That's not Jeff Bezos. That's not the rich 1% that he obviously does the bidding to. That is men and women sitting in here today. You are the people of the United States. You are not the others. You are not the you are here. In order to form a more perfect union, it's a struggle. And we can get hyperbolic about the struggle and the beauty of it, but bottom line, it is a struggle. But we are here to come together. We're here to find a common goal. We got common ground. I know that not all of us are all working, have the same mindset, but we have common goals among us. We have common goals with people that are on the right side. They just don't understand. They don't understand just yet, or choose not to. Establish justice. You and I can see exactly what's going on our city streets is not justice. Never ever would I thought in my 50 years you would have masked, unmarked, and unlicensed law enforcement showing up and bringing children out of the hands of parents, arresting and detaining people on the street. You now have Marines arresting active duty service members out west for simply just being there at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's not justice. There are many people around here that would tell stories of injustices happening, but we are here to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. I know for a fact that we want I want tranquility before I'm old and gray, before the kids get old, but we don't have that. And the reason that tell the horrible dystopian nightmare which he has generated actually in real life in this district. We are the poorest district. We have the harshest food insecurity. We also are just, Eric, there's so many measures. I was going to go past 5 minutes going over it. Provide for the common defense. Yes, but you know what? Common defense, there should be a limit. We shouldn't have to put in $1 trillion to defense contractors for wars imagined and real. When you have starving children, you have elderly struggling to survive on a meager Social Security paycheck that he wants to cut anyway, because if you can't work, you shouldn't be able to take money from the government. So secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Liberty is for everyone. It is not just singled out for myself. It's like citizens. It is not singled out for a select few that give out millions of dollars in donations so that way their lawmakers can then do their bidding, which is what our representation has been in Jeff City for the better part of 20 years. We need to keep that in memory. And to ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. It's going to be all of us, and my mission to you, because obviously he does not care about the constituents of this district. He doesn't care about the constituents of his state. When the tornadoes came through that was mentioned earlier, easy photo op for Representative Smith to come down with his fresh off the rack farmer's outfit from Lawn Gardens or Menards to show him leaf moving wood or clearing debris. But where was our representative? He was down in El Salvador doing a photo op in front of detained people behind bars to praise and bootlick this Florida master, President Donald Trump. He's not really president per se, but that's where his priorities are. He does not care about this district. Anyone that's actually tried to call one of his offices, do you get someone that answers the phone? No. You do? All right. My first story said office, okay, but I've heard stories in other districts and other areas where, hey, nobody answers the phone, you know. So I'm just here to tell you, this is the opportunity. I love to be able to see that we have more people coming together. We have common good. This is an abject evil. It's right in your face. He said what he's going to do. He's done what he said. And he's planning on doing more. It's time for us to mobilize, to come together, and help each other out. Thank you.
All right, next we have Veronica, and after her, we're going to have Michael Ritchie.
I'm not going to be talk. I'm really not interested in anything he has to say. You've heard everything I'm hearing. We recently met with his assistant. I'm not sure I mentioned this, but I'm volunteering for BeHeard, and also I'm a senior legislator and with aging members. And one of the things we talked to them about was the 8th district. At the time, we were under the impression that we were the 11th poorest district in the nation, and we are now the 6th poorest district in the nation. So, under their watch, we're not getting any better. I am a cancer survivor, long history of cancer in my family, so hospitals are very important. Education, I'm from Donovan, so I'm not county, I'm with the county. We are losing our Title I funding for our kids who are, I think it's like 8% school lunches. And it's not just the poor kids, it's anybody who has a speech impediment or any other condition that might be an additional IEP, autism. you know, that's where we are. We really need any resolution from the office, which is the dollar of service. But we are, in our county, reinvigorating and rejuvenating the Democratic Party and the Democratic, the Federation of Democratic Movements. We recently, like the president of the county Democratic women, and we started out with, you know, 5 members showing up to a meeting, and our second meeting we had 17, the third meeting we had 22, and our last meeting we had 24. We just got back from the National Federation of Democratic Women's Convention in St. Louis and talked to a lot of really amazing people about what they're doing in their states. And there are 37 states that are part of the Federation. And one state in particular was Oklahoma, and that state president was talking about the Rapid Tulsa, and she's talking about how they are co-meeting, so they're holding their meeting, women's meetings with the Democrats and the Republicans. I'm talking about how they're actually rejuvenating the party, and also another great state. So as far as all of this is concerned, we just need to ignore what they're saying.
Yeah.
And we need to put them on those and let them know that we're not going to sit back, we're not going to be quiet. This is the first time. This is the first time in my life that I've really gotten involved in politics. And I have always considered myself an independent. And I thought, oh no, I have to take a stand. I have to take a side.
Yeah.
And I got out of my easy chair and you know, I stood in the rain today at the protest, and I did not come prepared for anything. And my speech, my clothes are wet, my hair is wet, I probably had a mascara around my face. But democracy is messy.
That's
And
right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
All right, next up to speak is Michael Ritchie, and then it will be Dorothy Lunch.
I want to start out by saying something that most county legendary says. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Good job. We need health care.
That's right.
We need VA benefits instead. Snap, you want to take away food from you. People like me, adolescents, you know, everybody's not rich.
That's right.
People need help. I work, I'm retired, but the way y'all let this country go, I gotta go back to work.
Yep.
And it's not right.
Nope.
So if you're not gonna do the job, get out. I want to say one more thing. Marvin Gaye also said, money, we make what we see, but you take it.
That's
What's
right.
going on?
That's
Tell
right.
me, come talk
It is not what we can use as so, and then I would ask you, Mr. Congressman, and you actually, I grew up close to where I grew up. I graduated from Wheatley High School, graduated from Salem High School, so I can certainly, I won't say kissing cousins or anything. You know, we're from the same neck of the woods. And I pride myself on Missouri values, and I pride myself on my rural Missouri values. And I do haven't seen that evidence in your career, and I hope that perhaps we can see some of that. The other thing I would ask is do your best, your very best responsibility to Congress and to the federal government. Please don't pattern your behavior after our president, who is, and this is factual, he's a narcissist, he's a bigot, he's a misogynist, he's a very selfish man who lies in the matter of course.
A felon.
And we have to celebrate, and we have to, each of us has to work to be more civil and respectful to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're finding the medium height range here. Well positioned as we can. Our next speaker is going to be Devin Sandhouse, and then it will be Sue Crawford. And before I have him come up here, I just want to one more reminder, people. There is the Respect Voters table in the back. Starting this out, they got a quick little shout out. And if you like the idea of making sure that our electeds can't just undo the initiatives that we have passed, go back there, sign up, be a volunteer. And with that said, come on up.
My name is Devin. I travel 30 miles a week today. I'm from Butler County. As a couple of people have pointed out, Butler County, very rural. We have to drive to Poplar Bluff to be able to. We have to be able to drive to Poplar Bluff for most things. We have one grocery store in Oakland. If you don't count Dollar General, which I don't. Whenever I was growing up, we had a hospital, we had an ER, we had a dentist, a couple different doctor's offices. Within the past 10 years, that went down to just one family clinic that was open for a little while. After Missouri passed the Medicaid expansion, we slowly started getting some more medical providers, and now we have urgent care, and we have 2 clinics to choose from, kids and adults. And these cuts, they're just leave us in the dark again. Like, I've got families who live even further out in Portland, and it's an hour drive, and the ambulance to get
until next week, talking about county cuts are happening because Donald Trump let Elon Musk take over and just slice through everything without any inkling of an idea of what they were talking about. But, and I'm a member of several different groups, the LGBT community, and I could talk to our group about that, about how the government treats us. But right now, I'm going to talk about veterans. And Veronica, thank you for, where are you? Thank you for talking about your dad and his service in World War II. And I honor him. I honor him. I'm a retired U.S. Navy chief petty officer, and I get every bit of my care through the VA here in Poplar Bluff. This is an incredibly wonderful VA. It takes care of its patients, and there are so many preventative medicine, if you will, that can take care of you before you get really sick. Like I'm in what they call home health. So I do yoga, tai chi, and I see the pain clinic, and they've expanded so much, and now they want to get rid of all those things. You're talking about, I was just looking it up, about custom VA. They're saying this year it's supposed to be 80,000 nationwide. I don't believe that. I think in just our district, I've been told by the people that I know at the VA that work there, it's supposed to be in the hundreds of thousands just in our district. So the care to veterans, I mean, if you remember way back when they were talking about how bad Veterans Administration hospitals are, and we can, people thought, oh, that the VA is so terrible. But you know what? Who has the purse strings to the VA? Or anything for that matter? That's this guy.
Yep.
And I don't know how long he's been a congressman, but if he was involved in any of that, shame on you. Shame on you.
Right.
Hey, the reason why those mistakes would be, they had to cut corners. There weren't enough people, and there wasn't enough money. And that's why the VA got that name. And people will still complain, oh, I'll never go to the VA because they're so terrible. I have had nothing but excellent care here. Nothing. And they go out of their way to make you feel like you are important. I've seen World War II veterans, I've seen Korean War veterans, and I've seen a plethora of Vietnam War veterans that went through hell. And they're doing everything that they can to give those veterans, and now the current veterans from Afghanistan and Iraq who are coming home with 100% disability because they've been blown up too many times.
Yep.
And that's, my partner at the time works with the VA and said, I used to ask them, have you been blown up when you were in Afghanistan or Iraq? Now she says, how many times were you driving or whatever blown up? And some will say, oh yeah, 10 times. Traumatic brain injury, severe PTSD where they don't want to be around anymore. And if they start to keep cutting those things, I mean, I thank God that I have tried here because I'm retired, and I have a VA, I have everything that I could possibly need. But there's so many people that are kind of caught in that, kind of looked over, because for one thing, they don't come, and they think, well, I never use a VA because I don't think that they can help me. Well, I'm here to tell you, they do the damnedest for the veterans, and they will continue to do so, but it's going to be limited because of the draconian cuts that are going on in everything. And it sickens me to see what our country has come to.
That's right.
Because of that man that occupies the White House. I'll never call him my president, ever.
I'm calling him Taco.
I mean, I didn't vote for him, and I never intend to vote for him, and I will never vote for anybody you're taking our country down a really, really bad road. And we are this close to martial law and, an autocratic society. And we need to stand up and say something. Not just Democrats, but everyone, especially the Republicans, because they are just out this guy and just say, do whatever you want.
Yep.
And that's what they did in the first term. But now, if he keeps going, he is going to take us down the road that happened in Germany in the 1930s.
Yep, that's right.
He's aiming that. He wants that. He wants that. So we got to start standing up for him and saying, we can't do this anymore. We have got to protect this country because it's a democratic republic. And the Constitution means something. And to say that we don't care about the Constitution and that you want to just get rid of it is sickening and disgusting.
Right.
With that, I thank you and
And thank you for your service. Next up, we have Barbara Rexroth, and then it's going to be Brenda Hayes.
I want to look at this in a little different perspective. My parents are gone now, but Mr. Smith, my parents gave you your freedom. They fought for you, they died for you. Their generation worked hard to make sure that you would have your freedom. And now you have the gall to not even follow your oath? What are you thinking? I call you every day. I call your office every day. I ask you, are you going to follow your oath? Are you going to protect our freedoms? I want him to pretend that you're all World War II veterans. And I want him to look in your faces and say that he cares and he's going to fight for us. Because he is not doing that. And we are fed up.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And it is time for you to follow your oath and to respect the fact that our families gave you your freedom.
All right, next we have Brenda Hayes, and then we'll go Jean Cross.
My name is Brenda Hayes. I'm pushing 79 pretty hard. And I am still fighting the same fight that all of you have fought since day one. I had my very best friend in 1962 dropped into a bathtub and she brains out because she was pregnant. She didn't know where to go, no one to talk to. Her parents were very, very religious and would have thrown her out of the house. So she did all she knew how to do. 1970, I wanted to buy a house. Couldn't buy a house because I didn't have any husband.
True.
1974, I bought a trans man that had issues. I took it to the mechanic, and he told me in my hand that it was a man's car. And I just didn't know how to drive. who are dying in cars, leaving out in hospital parking lots. And all the doctors are doing is calling the lawyers on the phone.
That's
They
right.
don't have a family on.
Yeah.
We passed last election where our voices were heard. And now, Mr. Smith, you and your cronies are trying to take that back.
That's right.
You have a mother, I don't know if you have daughters or not. What if you, when you were 16 years old, got pregnant and didn't know what to do? You have to put yourself in this place. We're humans, we're losing our rights, our female rights, our health care rights on a daily basis. That's my main complaint. I'm using that term lightly. Against you and Mr. Brown. Thank you.
Up next, we will hear from Gene Cross and then Jesse Carter.
I'm going to take a little different tack also. I want to talk to you right now. And as I sat in the back and looked out over this crowd, it has come to my realization that most of us are white, middle class,
power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that never has. So up next we have Jesse Carter, and then it will be Sheila Briscoe.
Okay, I'm not taking my mask off, it stays on pretty much all the time, which everybody that works with me at school can tell you. So can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. I did not come prepared to talk, so we'll see what comes out. Representative Smith, I'm gonna paraphrase a love musical song by name called 1776, which is all about our founding fathers and the fight to become an independent nation. And for all of their flaws, the founding fathers did a few things right. And in the musical, John Adams asks another man who is against independence, what do you know about the people? You represent only yourself. And Mr. Smith, I would put it to you that you represent only yourself.
That's right.
You have claimed an office that is meant to be one of servitude to the public. But instead, you play lackey to a man who would be a tyrant, who has said repeatedly that he intends to be a tyrant, who worships other tyrants, who has openly supported in myriad ways men who have consistently harmed their own people and the countries around them. And I'm sick every day knowing that people like you are the ones who hold the reins in this country. I'm sick because I'm a queer, gender divergent person who works in the school system, who not only pray for myself and the people that I love, my trans siblings, my queer siblings, my immigrant siblings, people in this country who are being carted off, taken to prisons in Central America for no other reason than being immigrants, than being brown or Latino. I'm ill over it every day. And I just want to ask you where you get off. Claim to be a public servant. Claim that you care at all about constituents here, about the country as a whole, because it is very clear to me and to everyone here that that is not the case, that you do not care about us. I sit with kids at school every day, and I see how hard it is for them to get by as it is, and you and your cronies in Washington and in Jefferson City want to take what few supports remain for them in education, in healthcare, in social services. You're trying to strip these babies of what they have, and that isn't much.
Yeah.
And I struggle with not telling you precisely what I think you really are. What the heck? I'll just say, you're a snake. You're a snake who has hurt repeatedly everyone in this space here, in the state as a whole, whether they realize it or not, and Lord knows so many of them do not realize it. They are taught the lie that your people have spread for decades, and I just would remind you, since you claim to be a Christian, since you claim to know the same Jesus that I do, because yeah, I can be both queer and a Christian. It's horrible. Amen to that. I will remind you that the Lord told us. He said, if you would be great in God's kingdom, you would be a servant of all.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And that, sir, is not you.
Okay, folks, we are down to our last 4 speakers, and we also have half an hour left. Now, if you would like to add that up to 5 speakers, or maybe more than that, to fit this in our last half hour of having this space, we still have the sign-up sheet back there. There's something that's been said here today, it's touched your heart, and you think that you have a comment or something that our congressman needs to hear, go ahead, sign yourself up back there. We have half an hour left before we need to clear the space. And your voice matters. What you are feeling matters. What you're going through matters. Your family matters. And it needs to be heard by the congressman what it is that our lives need. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and invite up Sheila Bristol, and then it will be Amy Kidd.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
There's a myriad of things that can be talked about, asked at this point, but I want to be more specific. In the last election, I ran for the 153 against Pete Elliott. Of course, I lost, but I ran. And at every candidate forum that I went to, everybody talked about getting internet improvements for our communities.
Yes.
Over the last year, myself and many of my community members have served on a long-term planning board to make a proposal for internet companies to come in and decide who would cover and put in for the BEAD funding. BEAD funding is something through President Biden's work that Missouri was awarded $1.7 billion to improve internet in the state. That money was never actually given to Missouri, and now we come to the proposal phase where the internet companies are asking for the money, and it's on hold. And I want to ask Jason Smith, why is the BEAD money on hold now? Are you not going to give it to the communities to improve? Because our communities are already behind in internet coverage. Carter County, where I'm from, and Shannon County are the worst served in the state of Missouri as far as internet.
Wayne's right there too.
Yes. And absolutely, and I know you guys have been working a lot trying to improve your internet. And then I begin by asking Representative Smith, Jason Smith, who doesn't really represent us, where he and his fellow congresspeople's backbone is and why their co-equal government branch is not participating in government and just giving over to the president and usurping their power.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next is Amy Koff, and then we will have
Thank you so much for putting this together for us. Also, the Butler County Democrats, particularly Jean, she's worked really hard, as have the rest of the crew to make this possible. I know we're all very frustrated, and I wasn't going to talk today, but as I listened to I'm pretty sure I'm not in Colorado. I've been, this is not bad. Okay, let's go on to do. Okay, there was a terrible, really tragic event in Washington, D.C. Let me check my map. Right, also not there. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at, he's got this section always, in case you missed it, where he talks about all his media releases. So this is his opening statement on like why we should follow him and blah, blah, blah. President Trump has made it abundantly clear Congress needs to pass his one big beautiful bill. That's why I'm working around the clock to get this bill from the Senate and to President Trump's desk ASAP. Where is the statement about how this is good for me? How is this good for District 8? How is this good for who you're supposed to represent? This entire statement? Oh, right. It's because I want to kiss President Trump behind.
Yep.
That's the whole statement. President Trump has made it abundantly clear Congress needs to pass his one big beautiful bill. That's why I'm working around the clock. Because Trump told me to. Not because it's good for the people I represent. Not because it's good for District 8. Not because it's good for Missouri. All right, let's go on. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, click here to watch my interview on Newsmax. Watch here to watch my interview on Fox Business. Click here. Newsmax. Click here. Fox Business. All 4 media releases from areas we know are biased to one side.
That's right.
We can't be bothered to speak or post anything that would be anyone even neutral. Even someone who is just, an influencer online or a blogger or a podcast. No, they're all very much in one side. Okay, so again, not representing me, not representing the district. You could speak with someone locally maybe and post that. That's not what he has up there. No. All right. So let's go. He talks a lot about how great your big beautiful bill will be. Blah 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 blah. I won't take the time because we are in time crunch. All right, and then we get to first immigration at this point. How bad Biden is. Blah blah blah. What's great in needs? Okay, so all of that blah 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 was about national statistics again. Who are you representing? None of that was what you're doing for me, for District 8, for my family, the people I love, my neighbors, my colleagues. None of that is about how you're helping us together. I will give kudos here on the 3 diagrams that he has, well, of course, the people that produce it, he's not writing the numbers. That produces, he does mention 2 girls' sports teams and then 1 scholarship. So there's the 3 local things happening. I just want to say, thanks for giving a shout out to women's sports. Because if we're not getting a shout out to, we're not getting a shout out to our state representatives. We're trying to override our vote on women's rights. Again, we're not representing me. We voted, we said we want women to have choice, and our state government is saying, we're going to override you. Sorry, we don't like what you think. And he's silent. There's, again, no representation of my interests. So it's all about me. Represent me. Represent my friends. Represent my family. Represent my coworkers. Represent me. So my question today is, what are you doing to represent me? What the hell are you doing to represent me?
Dan Rhodes is next, and then Deborah King.
I didn't come here to speak, but Mr. Smith, I'm really do not like you because you do not represent this country. If you enable our Capitol, January 6th, if you wasn't that, I was. This guy enabled that to happen.
Yep.
Well,
What else was the NATO have? Was they waiting on the border between Ukraine and Russia for Trump to get in there again because they were going to take over your votes? Mr. Smith, you're a crook. You go look for forgiveness. If you want to call yourself a Christian, you know how many churches you have destroyed?
Yeah.
Do you know that the American people, you know, they go to church, then they see their fellow people at church voting for Trump, 34 counts of felony. You know, I was out there we had a treatment in 2020. I was running for commissioner on the Democratic ticket. And I told them, I said, Trump is a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Yes.
Just listen to the people out there. He's not a God. He's just a man. And he's a man that's taking this country down to the ground. And you're an A1. You've been able. You went down there to, I didn't know if he went down there, El Salvador.
Yep.
He's not representing Missouri. And what are you going to do with these people in the nursing home? You going to throw them out?
Yeah.
They're on Medicaid. You not know these people pay rent with their Social Security checks. And what are you going to do? You're talking about homeless people. Are you trying to, what are you trying to make this into the soup lines again, like the Depression?
Yeah.
So people can feel good about giving away food. That's why we've got taxes. We pay taxes to support our social infrastructure. That's what it's about. It's not socialism. It's taking care of your citizens. Your mom, your dad, your kids. Once the kids go to, what about kids going to school? They should all get to eat. Everyone. Every day. All of them. You're just telling me, hey, everybody.
Yeah.
You don't care about this work for me. I don't know, your name's Smith. Did you come from a blacksmith? You know, you come over and usually they have a name associated. And you know what? My great-great-grandfather come from England. He was a blacksmith. Means he worked. I think this guy didn't work hardly very much in his life. I don't know what he did. I see these commercials on YouTube about the Biden pill or whatever. Is that all he's got? Joe Biden. God bless Joe Biden. You realize he saved Ukraine. Poland will be next. You know the Canadians are done with us. Those are our friends, man, right there. We trade back and forth. They're done with Americans. They don't want to trade with us anymore. They're going to do their own thing. They got their own materials. They can build their own cars. They don't have to trade with us. We're going to be an island up here in this United States because the Europeans know what's going on. Guys like this, you almost made it happen on January 6th. You brought those people in to attack our capital. Boy, that made me mad. I'm still mad about it. I'm going to get mad every day about it. Did you watch 9/11? You ever watch it? That's right up there when I was there. It is. It's the same thing. You attack the United States Capitol. That's a sacred place. And then you purge those people. You pardon. And then, hey, they're out there picking up the Mexicans and the Indians with a mask on. People think so. You know they could grab me tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could. Don't come up here, Mr. Smith, in my house. We're from Missouri. We're some old Missouri hillbillies. But we're good people. My brother was a veteran. Got cousins, veterans, uncle. We're not protecting the veterans.
No.
We're cutting the benefits.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that. That's what was that? I think I said in Alabama. Last night, lots of something.
Yeah.
We didn't know, but we did. We didn't know Trump. We knew what he was. But you don't know what's next.
Yeah.
Martial law. I think they're shooting for that right now.
They are.
We don't need that. Goodbye, Mr. Smith.
And next we have Deborah.
You know, when I came up here the first time, I didn't have much to say. My statements were about maybe watching all of you come up here, say what you have to say, say the things that need to be said, has given me more voice.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to lay out that. On the first one, the veterans. I've been fighting for this country for years. We've come back just for that same country, the same people who run that country, to still in this. That is not the actions of the president. That is not the actions of a congressman. Cutting Medicaid, that is not the actions of a congressman. And that is not the actions of a president. And in regards to immigration, people come to our country because they want to bask in the greatness of it. They want to come and see why America is so great. And when they come to our country, what do? Well, we take them away, put them to an El Salvadorian prison, no due process.
Yeah.
Not only what does that tell them about how great our country is, what does that tell the rest of the world about the greatness or the supposed greatness of America? Watching you all come up here and speak, and speaking right now myself, it is becoming abundantly clear that Congressman Smith does not deserve the seat in which he resides. The President of the United States does not deserve the seat in which he resides. And no Republican who has supported any of the things going on right now, any of the actions of the sitting president, or supported the president in general, that is sitting in any office, none of them deserve the seat in which he resides.
Thank you all. Thank you for everyone who got up to speak today. Thank you for everyone who helped us be able to organize this. Before we close out, there's something that I should have done at the start of today, but we're going to go ahead and take care of it now. And that is, as I'm sure many of you have already seen in the news, in Minnesota, there were some state lawmakers shot. And so I'd like to all of us to just a moment of silence for State Representative Melissa Hartman and her husband Mark, who passed away this morning, and State Senator John Hoffman, who the last news article I saw said he was going through surgery, and I haven't seen an update since then, but we can all just take a moment of silence for those folks.
And the blood is on Donald Trump's hands.
Thank you. And that was our speakers today. I want to again
everyone who came up here